Hey, what's up, everybody? Oh, man, woke up with I gotta be a little quiet. Um, just the blues this morning. You know, I want to be respectful to other people's relationships, and I don't like competing for relationships or for you know females. Um, so much so that I don't even like if I know somebody's involved with somebody else. I don't even really like talking about that person anymore, because it feels like I'm attempting to insert my will into their life after whilst they've done chosen somebody else. So a very a part of me has been very reluctant to speak about joy since coming back here. um I've tried to just keep my mouth quiet and continue on with my life. And I haven't made a video about her, and it's been over 2 weeks. But I just got to be honest, like it's eating me up. Whatever. I don't even know what it is. I mean, I have ideas, I have hints. But since coming back here, especially, I don't know if it's just being in the cities, being in my parents' house. I think a lot of it has to do with being back in a major city. Gainesville, where I was in Florida, the last remainder of my, trip. It's a college town. I mean, there's a lot of it's spread out. There's a lot of areas that are just woods. There's a lot of sunshine, open spaces. It's just there's more of an etheric connection. There's more of a connection to the earth than there is here in Portland. Just the way the cities are designed. Portland's a very giant. It's a giant city, and I'm in northeast Portland, so the concrete jungle is all around. And Gainesville, it was not only is not as large as a concrete jungle as Portland, but I was also sleeping outside all the time, essentially, on the ground. And there is a huge, I think there's just a multitude of things going on inside myself right now. And I'm having trouble finding, the passion, the desire, the will to do what I'm supposed to do here right now. When I say I'm supposed to, like that's that's really not up anybody but to decide but yourself. We all have free will. People can tell you what to do and suggest things to you, and you can even give them your word that you'll do these things. But in the end of the day, it's your choice whether you follow through with your word. And it was your word true? Was it something you really wanted to give your word to, or did you feel coerced to do so because you felt threatened by not having a place to live or resources or fitting in or upsetting people. I've spent a lot of my life pleasing, really, pleasing others, man. It's not the other's fault. It's my fault. I would, a lot of times with my friends in the past, I would, I would put my will and my desires, essentially below theirs. When I say below, I mean, I would allow their desires and their wills and what they wanted to do supersede mine. And I would do what I could to help them with theirs. And I also have done, and I feel the same pattern to an extent playing out. It's different with my parents, but it's just the whole construct of the way, this reality operates right now. I don't know. I just, so yeah, Joy, she, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately because it's more, it's not just some like love fucking lustful, like this, obsession I have, with her. It's, throughout my life, I've looked up to people, man. I've put people on very high pedestals. The first was probably Shawn Michael, because my father, he's I'd have to say he's a good man. He's got a good heart. He just, he at a very young age he got a scholarship to West Point, like at the age of 18. So right out of high school, he got into West Point, a scholarship. And he did West Point for 4 years. He graduated, and then he did 2 years, service in the Army Rangers. And he got into the Officers Club, was a second lieutenant. And, once he got into the Officers Club and, he got into that realm, because, it's different. The enlisted people, they have their own language, and the officers have their own language as well. And the language he, observed and witnessed in the Officers Club was something that he found to be, didn't agree with, didn't find it agreeable. He found it to be, the word uncouth is coming to my mind. But those 6 years in the military that my father spent at a very young age, I think has really had a very, very powerful and lasting effect on his ability to express his emotions. And also, and so since he has a problem expressing his emotions and talking about his emotions, he's never really been able to, help his children out with their emotions and what they're going through. Years ago, I think the panic attacks for me started when I was about 22. My parents, I was in Phoenix, Arizona. I was living with, actually, homeboy, T Green Man. I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying that, but we shared an apartment together. My parents had moved to Oregon, and so it was my first time living away, being away from my family. And, we'd sold the family house too that we'd all grew, that I grew up in, and we lived in for, I think, 17 years. But anyway, the panic attacks, they hit me hard. I I didn't know what was going on, and it came at a time in my life when I was, I was working at a kitchen, a good pizza restaurant kitchen, making pretty good money for the time. I was able to pay, my, apartment bills and still had money to fuck around, and I was working with good people. A part of me really enjoyed making pizzas and working in the kitchen and all this and that. And I was going to the gym like, probably 5 times a week. I mean, I was very disciplined with, trying to get stronger, trying to, better myself, trying to just take care of the responsibilities that, were at my feet. But the whole time I was doing it, I still always had felt out of place, just not, I didn't have the same type of mojo to carry on, the same type of enthusiasm that a lot of my peers seemed to be able to do. I've spent a lot of time just, nodding and even fake laughing, because I didn't want to offend people by not, participating in this social moment in a way that, I thought they'd like. When people make jokes and they laugh and they tell you things, I feel like they want you to, comprehend and, probably appreciate that which is being conveyed to you. So out of my desire to please them, a lot of times, essentially, I would lie. I would be fake. I would pretend to be interested and to laugh and to have, some type of a, connection with what they were saying when, deep down inside, there was really, nothing or very little. I'm kind of digressing into a multitude of facets of my life and what's going on with myself right now, but I do want to get back to the military and my father and panic attacks and emotions and expression. And then that leads into joy. And at least from my perspective, and, so like, as I said, I put people on pedestals, and Shawn Michael, because my father, he just, he sold me opiates when he was really my first opiate dealer. At the age of 19, I started taking them when I was 17 and 19. My dad had a friend who had a large prescription to, Oxycontin that he would sell all the time. And I had heard about it, I knew about it. And so I, broached the idea that my dad, could sell me some. And he did. He ended up doing that. And, my dad, he tried to keep it, he tried to keep it very moderate and just like one pill a day, he showed some responsibility and restraint in trying to keep me from taking too much. But, with addictions, man, once the desire to really consume that particular substance, really gets a hold of you, I mean, that's your go. That was my fucking fuel. That was what I wanted to, that's what motivated me more than anything else was, there's the higher motivations I have for, love and, doing something great and grand and all these, essentially glorious type things that I imagine. But, day to day, knowing that I had this pill that would, give me to a very, powerful and similar way, this glorious feeling, this orgasmic feeling of just like bliss and not feeling pain and having all this extra endorphins running around in your head from, all you have to do is just take a pill and you feel like you ran, like it's a runner's high, this one of the most similar things to opiates that I've found in my life, is after a really good workout. Or, for me, a lot of times it's running. Like when you're lifting weights, there's definitely a type of high that comes from after doing that. But when you really run for an extended period of time, or play basketball or any type of cardiovascular activity, there's endorphins that you've stimulated, that you've got moving inside your being, and you're left with a very beautiful feeling. It's a lot like opiates. The thing with the opiates is all you got to do is just take them. So anyway, that got a hold on me, man. Those oxys, got into me, and for years I stole them from my mother because she got prescribed to them, and for years that went on, and for years they've lived with me, knowing that I've stolen, and they've dealt with all the I don't know how many times I've been through withdrawals and fucking relapsed, and tried to get off of them, and they've spent a lot of time portioning out. My dad's been successful in that. He has been very good about just weaning me off and keeping me at a very strict and stringent level of dosage, and until eventually a lot of times I'm able to get off. Like I have gone through periods of not taking them and done rather well, and then I'd relapse, or this or that would happen, and but anyway, the point that I wanted to get back to in this video was just the military, and the way it's designed, and the controlling aspect that they implement into the soldiers and their perspective is to just to suck up your pain, is to not as much as you can not even acknowledge that it exists, not to give it even any heed, not to let your cowardly feelings, or whatever they may be, any feelings really get in the way of accomplishing the mission. Which as a soldier entails killing. So they form these these young men and women into these machines, essentially, that run on a gear that's set to block out anything emotionally that may hinder them from being a soldier and getting the job done. So that means blocking out pain. That means and when they teach you to block out pain like that, there's it's also teaching you how to block out the emotional pain that you're going through. And my father, he maintains a pretty stable. Yeah, it's just like I can see him, like there's a repression, a deep down a deep-seated repression that he's perpetuated for decades. But he still has the training and the mentality and the ability to continue on with his day in a relatively stable manner, But when little things happen, he blows up like Hiroshima, man. I mean, he gets extremely angry over little things, and then when I try to talk with him about stuff, he dismisses it, and he gets angry, and he just tells me to walk away and to leave, and anyway, but just finding peace. Joy, she left she left a relatively, it was a friendly, sweet comment. It was just just wishing me well, really. It was just very kind of her. And but one thing she said in particular really stuck out, is, "I hope you find your peace, Brian," or something like that. And I read that, and I'm the angel of peace, and I'm not able to find much peace within myself. Like there still is this very strong self-destructive, it's not even self-destructive either, I still get infiltrated. I call it infiltration because that's what it feels like, when I get hit with thoughts that are destructive of myself, and even the surrounding area that I'm in. It does, I call it infiltration because I don't feel like it's something that's really, whether or not I don't want it to be me, or it's not me, I call it infiltration, so, but, for her to send that comment, and then to hope that I can find my peace, is, I appreciate that. And it also just gets me thinking about her and, why I do have this gravitating, and it's me and it's others. Let's just be real. Like, she does draw the attention of a lot of others, and a lot of people have been, you could call it obsession, whatever word, a high attraction, just a curiosity, an interest, whatever it may be. We're all at different levels of everything, but she does have an attraction to her. And it's more than just, a sexual fucking, she's good looking and this and that. No, it's something deeper. It's something that speaks to the soul. Something that speaks to the soul. You know, and I think that, because she's found a way to find peace within herself. I mean, in regards to how I live my life and the type of things that I do, and, how crazy I feel at times, I can't say that I've found that I have or that I've acquired that type of peace within myself, But to see her with that peace, with that ability to, not, it's how she deals with her emotions. That's why a lot of my heart has been on emotions, and, being around my dad is just, he spends most of his day just watching television, and smoking weed, and, that's what I've grown up with. And then my mom, she's like the absolute opposite. She's always doing something. She's always working. She herself is a very motivated individual at a very young age. She got, she was actually, her mother pushed her out of the house at the age of 18, I think, because my mom wasn't going along with the Christian Scientist program that her mother was pushing her. So because of that, she had to leave the house at a very young age, and she did the whole college thing, and, was a very, very accomplished, student, and, has got her master's and, all sorts of stuff. So my mother's always been somebody to just very strong, independent woman. And she's real good about just staying busy and staying active and working, and, but, she has always wanted to work. And for a lot of the time we were growing up, they were both working. They were both busy, and, I mentioned this because, there is, as a child, like, there was always a longing in my heart. There was always an emotional quelling that I felt needed to be quenched. And, you look around, and you try to find things that help, deal with this feeling, and some things help, more than others, and this and that. But at the end of the day, if people aren't taught how to love and how to take care of themselves, and, things to watch out for, there's just not good guidance. And I don't know, it's just like my parents put so much faith and trust into the indoctrination of this system, as far as going to schools and, fucking, that's really what it is as a child. You go to school, for the majority of the day, and you get out of school, and then, I'd really only see my parents at dinner time. After school, you'd fuck around and you'd go and play, or, I was never the type to, right after I got out of school, to do my homework. Like, I hardly ever did my homework. It was always kind of a last minute, hurry up fucking type of deal for myself. But, the point that I'm trying to make here is that there wasn't much time for us to really talk about, just life and, being a human, and why some things are good to do and why some other things aren't good to do, and to really, break, just this wall that I feel I've always had, is and not being, able to talk about how I'm really feeling and not knowing why, and not even having, not knowing why and not feeling like I even have a place to talk about why I don't feel like I fit into this reality. It's just I didn't have that opportunity with my parents, to discuss things of that type of an intimate nature. It was something that I just never had, and so because of that, there's a void that I continue to feel and essentially continues to grow, because I'm not dealing with the void. And then I start doing the drugs, or even as a child, once you get a little bit older, you just distract yourself with movies, or, you get into porn, or, even type sports. I mean, these are all things that stimulate us and keep us going, and, add more to our lives than just sitting around and dwelling in our thoughts all day. But essentially, if you're constantly consumed with a feeling that's not being addressed, and you're just, going about your day and doing everything else that you usually do without knowing how to deal with this thing inside of yourself, that's building up a void. That's building up a place within yourself that's not being dealt with, and that eats away at you. It's something that leaves you uncomfortable and unfulfilled all the time to varying levels. Like I said, you can do distractions and you can do this and that, and it'll work for a little bit, but at the end of the day, if you haven't taken the time to really examine, and explore and express what the hell's going on with inside of yourself, then, it's the problem's not being solved. The problem more than likely is growing. So, that's, I think, so again, seeing Joy, she's a great example of, dealing and expressing how she feels as she feels it, and not being afraid to say what she needs to say because it's the truth, even though it may hurt people's feelings. And I think there's different ways you can express that, but each to his own. But she has been a great example for just being real with how she really feels in the moment, and that's just, that level of authenticity all the time, is something that I gravitate towards, just being able to express yourself like that, to not be afraid to say what the hell's really on your mind. For somebody like me to spend so much of my life, kind of pleasing others and allowing them to do what they do, and me just trying to help them out, to find somebody who is so strong in their own self-interest, and has found a way to get over just to flow with things in a relatively sober manner. I mean, when I say sober-minded, I mean she, it's just like, she's not addicted. She doesn't need, substances to keep herself going. And a lot of my life, I've felt and have had the need to have substances in my body all the time to keep me going. And because she is so deep and she has so many different layers to herself, I find myself able to relate to that because I too have very many layers. I know, at least I remember I have some semblance of a lot of love, but I also know about destruction. I know both sides of the coin, relatively really well. And by knowing both sides, you get this, exchange and mixture of all these different varying levels of love and hate and all these other things that go into both of those emotions. And it's just a very varied, it's just a lot. It's a lot to. It can be having all these different emotions. It can be very, essentially disorientating, confusing at times to navigate with them, and to know how to, deal with them in a healthy manner, so that they're not continuing to bog you down and keep you from really being yourself or how you really feel, but to rather help propel you into a new perspective, a new place for yourself, and joy has been a great example of that. That's why I think talk therapy is, a very powerful and important and key component to healing, but the thing with talk therapy is, going to a shrink, at least from my experience, it did not work. And I just think that like our friends and our family should be our shrinks, or should be people we could talk to, should be people that would want to listen to us. We shouldn't need, and if we had a type of system of living and being that taught, about emotions and how to deal with them and we would all be more privy to being able to help listen to people and add some type of a, provide some type of a, good feedback, or, just be, able to comprehend and, flow with that moment in a good way, if we were taught these things. But we're not taught these things. The schools, the shows we watch, the foods we eat, all these things, suppress and keep us from, really being, at least for myself, like I just never fit in. Like it always felt alien to me, to go through a lot of these, programs and to watch these shows and to engage in people the way that most people engage with others. It always felt alien to me. So, it's just my perspective. Everybody's different. Some people get along really well in this world and they seem to enjoy it, and that's fine for them. But, that's not me. It's never been me. So, but just that, one thing that I think, or one reason why I do feel so, gravitated towards, people like her is their ability to just, speak and to, and the type of therapeutic, even right now, I already feel better speaking than I did when I wasn't speaking, So, yeah, and then the panic attacks, I brought up that because, when I told my dad, that's why I brought up the whole military thing and why I looked at joy and all this and that, is because when I started having those panic attacks, my dad looked at me like he didn't believe me, like he was really just like, he just didn't believe me. Like he thought I was bullshitting, and it's just hard to deal with something so intense with inside of yourself and to have, because really, like, talking about shit like this to my mother is, I don't know, it's something that I'd like to have another man, speak with about, because I don't know. It feels like a good, man, I'm a man, so having another man to speak to about it, especially a father figure, an elder, seems more appropriate than a female, because a female is not going to be able to relate to my experience as much as a man is going to be able to, because it is what it is. So not having my father to be there and, want to listen to me, and to get the judgment out of his mind, it put me in a place to where I just had to deal with it on my own. And so I spent a lot of time just drinking my anxiety away, and then that just led to alcoholism, so then now I'm dealing with alcoholism and panic attacks, and with alcoholism, there's a spiritual inheritance that comes from all that destruction, and then your anxiety just gets worse because your mind becomes used to needing the alcohol to suppress the feelings, but then, because of that, the feelings aren't going away, though. That's why you're not dealing with the problem. So these feelings, they continue to build up and build up and build up and build up, and they're there to be expressed, but you're not expressing them. You're suppressing them with alcohol, so they grow. The more you continue to keep something at bay that wants to come out, the stronger the resistance, the stronger the tension inside yourself is going to be. So, in a sense, the alcohol was making it worse. That's why a lot of these pharmaceuticals and stuff that they give people, yeah, it may be a great Band-Aid that feels good, but is it really helping you get to the core issue of your problem? And that's, that's another thing that I think joy has helped me at least see a little bit clearer is, just really identifying what the fuck's going on with you, and knowing that there's, there are solutions out there, and there's ways that you can change your life in even little ways that you do everything in your routine can have a lasting and I say long term. I mean, if you continue to do it for a long term way, like it will change your life. It will change you. So, I don't know. This is definitely more of a rambling video. It's 36 minutes in, so thanks you guys if you all have watched. But having somebody that can listen to you, wants to listen to you, is able to listen to you, is a very valuable thing, and it's something that I found a lot of healthy, like real healthy therapy and healing from, me being able to express and working on my expressions, and also if you're able to find somebody that can listen to you, then that's great too. But even if you just have a YouTube channel or whatever type of outlet that you use to just express yourself, I do find it's much better. I feel much better speaking these things, even though I'm just talking to my phone right now, than as opposed to just not speaking these things. So I encourage y'all to express yourselves, man. It's more, the effects are more, more substantial and tangible and good than you might expect, So anyways, all right, I love y'all. Y'all take care. Bye.